All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Flop Sports Podcast. This is Daniel Spiller.
And Preston Willet.
Hey, not even an awkward pause that time. All right, we'll be right back after this short musical interlude. And we're back. Surprise. Preston, I heard that someone kind of famous and okay at basketball was in your part of the country instead of mine.
Yeah, I mean, typically you get all the famous NBA players coming to your city, or living in your city, and for once, I had some fame over here in little Charlottesville, Virginia.
J.R. Smith was in town.
No, I wish. Of course, the little basketball game last night, Duke, Virginia, they called it like game of the year, and Virginia, stunk it up and lost to Duke. But there's a whole side attraction going on because Rajon Rondo was in attendance. No, I'm kidding. LeBron James was in attendance with Rajon Rondo. And where would I happen to be? Of course, the one time LeBron James comes to my city, Baltimore, Maryland.
Of course. That's where you always go when
naturally.
LeBron's in town.
Everyone retreat to Baltimore. There's no way he'll go there. No, I was covering UVA men's lacrosse. It was their season opener. They also got walloped in their first game of the year. So good stuff all around. And then I drove back and had to listen on the radio as my brother called me and said LeBron was at UVA. And I was like, well, do I have enough time to get back to the station, throw my credential on, and get to the game? No, I did not.
Your brother big timed you.
Yeah, I had to stop for Chick-fil-A, so it's all right. It's okay. LeBron and I will see each other down the road.
Yeah, of course. Like tomorrow night when you have him over for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, speaking of LeBron, the Los Angeles Lakers were trying to pull off a big trade, and it didn't quite happen at all.
Not at all.
The New Orleans Pelicans.
I like how you say that.
New Orleans.
Yeah, it's very new age. Most people are like New Orleans.
Wrong.
I say crap. Just from being a Falcons fan, that's how I've been taught to pronounce it.
Well, they did not trade with the Los Angeles Lakers. Magic Johnson had some harsh words for them. And, the Lakers are kind of getting roasted about it, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I understand. I mean, the Lakers, what other choice did they have? They had to go all out to see if they could get it now. And it just wasn't going to happen. And I completely agree with Magic Johnson here. And it's even being reported that way. Brian Windhorst said the other day that basically everything Magic Johnson said today about the Pelicans acting in bad faith during these trade talks is 100% true, because this is what Brian Windhorst said last week on ESPN. It's not just possible, it's what happened. I know that the Pelicans, how do I want to put this? The Pelicans had a method to their madness and the way this went. Did they know it was going to lead to a 40-point loss because everybody's upset? Not necessarily. So the Pelicans this whole time were like, let's keep leaking these trade rumors out there to kind of affect the Lakers' chemistry, per se, so that, they'll rack up some losses, and this is payback for them, trying to orchestrate, Anthony Davis sending in this trade request. It's all, I saw many a meme calling them now the New Orleans Pettycans, because they petty.
I feel like you're forgetting about the fact that Rich Paul and AD are the ones who started this, which means that LeBron was really the one behind all of this.
No, Rich Paul is Anthony Davis's agent. He is also LeBron's agent. They're two different people. Two different.
So, I mean, I think the Pelicans were like, why do we have to trade him now? He's under contract for another year and a half. We don't have to like cave to this Rich Paul agent pressure. Like we can do whatever we want with him.
Well, I've also heard this. So if you look at the New Orleans leadership structure there, obviously we know Dell Dempsey's the general manager there. Does he have a great track record? No, because he has not been able to put together a winner around possibly one of the greatest players of this generation to come. And so that speaks for itself. Above him, you've got Mickey Loomis. Who is Mickey Loomis? He's in charge of the Saints.
Yep.
He's in charge of their operations.
Yep.
And he's also in charge of, he gets final say basically of the Pelicans operations. Look, I'm all for, being successful and whatnot, but like, you either got to know football or you got to know basketball, because there's no way you know both well enough to be making decisions for, these franchises. And then at the top is Gail Benson, the owner. And basically, that whole football side, the people that own the Saints and they work with the Saints, they really don't know anything about basketball. And so all we've heard is like they don't really know like how this NBA stuff works. They're just like, well, I mean, in the NFL, we just we keep people until they're 40 and then we just cut them and kick them to the curb.
Yep.
So that's kind of their thing, and I feel like the Pelicans are basically, in the same position they've always been, going back to the Chris Paul stuff. They just like listen to the rest of the league and they don't like have any opinions of their own almost. Like Greg Popovich
Right.
was like, don't trade them to the Lakers. And they're like, okay, Greg, okay. And then Danny Ainge was like, hey, wait around to the summer and we might give you Jason Tatum. And they're like, okay, Danny, okay. It's like they have no mind for themselves.
How funny would it be if Danny Ainge, come summertime, doesn't offer Tatum up at all? He just said that now to throw a wrench in things.
I mean, and this is all speculation. If Kyrie Irving doesn't sign back on, there's no way they offer up Tatum. Like,
Yep.
because then you're at an entirely different stage of what you're trying to do. And, getting Anthony Davis would be nice, but, not at the expense of losing a young star like Jason Tatum. Yeah, so I think it's weird. But yeah, you look at the chemistry stuff, and Pacers fans were not all that kind the other night.
When Brandon Ingram stepped to the line, they were chanting LeBron's gonna trade you, which is pretty funny. And then when JaVale McGee stepped to the line, they were chanting not worth trading. Hilarious.
Which one do you like more?
Oh, I like the not worth trading. That's so funny.
That one's just a little too brutal for me. I appreciate the LeBron's gonna trade you. That's classy, Yeah, that's good stuff. No, it's terrible. But it hasn't been all bad for the Lakers this past week. I mean, they beat some NBA team. Gosh, who was that? They beat them at the buzzer too. Like Rondo hit this buzzer beater against this crappy team from Boston. I think.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Doesn't sound familiar? Doesn't
No.
ring a bell? Well, just know that Rajon Rondo came back to kill the Celtics.
I know. I was watching that game, and when Rondo did that, I was like, of course he did. That's exactly what Rondo always does, is you just does this ridiculous stuff at the end of a game, and you're like, I didn't even know he could shoot. Like, what is
But looking real quick, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of these teams coming up, but between the Lakers, the Celtics, the Clippers, the Knicks, and possibly a mystery team, I mean, who do you like going into the summer in this Anthony Davis saga?
I mean, I think the Celtics have the most to offer if they want to offer it up. If they decide, hey, we're not giving you Tatum, so you have to pick from anyone else other than Tatum and Kyrie, and probably maybe Hayward, I don't know, then it opens up to, I don't know, maybe the Knicks are like, we'll give you 4 first-round picks for AD.
No.
And maybe they'd look at that.
Here's my thing. Everyone is overreacting to these offers that came out from the Lakers, and that Lakers offer is not going to be on the table once we get to the summer. I don't think they're going to package that much talent and picks and everything into one deal. And honestly, like Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma have looked really good lately, and Lonzo Ball is still a good player. So I just don't see that being a possibility come this summertime. And I think, to beat that, I think the Celtics would have to include at least Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to beat that. Plus that Grizzlies pick I heard today, looking a little bit more into it, if the Grizzlies miss the playoffs this year, which they just traded Marc Gasol, so they're heading that way, then it would not convey until next year. Well, probably not going to make the playoffs next year either, so it would go to the next year when it becomes a second round pick.
Well, I think it's protected, like maybe top 5 protected. I don't know if
it's top. It's I believe it's just top 14 or something. I was listening to something today where the Grizzlies, and they're not going to be a good team for the next couple of years, so it's certainly possible that it goes on down the line and eventually becomes a second round pick. So
right. You might be right. I think the Sacramento pick is
I could be
protected.
Confusing it with the Clippers pick too, because that's also a possibility. Maybe that one's the one that, and the Clippers probably won't make the playoffs now either.
Yeah, but there's definitely some of these picks are maybe not going to be as valuable as they're
losing a little bit of the luster. I really like a possible Knicks deal if they get the Zion Williamson thing, but I mean, just seeing what he did to UVA the other night, I don't know why you wouldn't want to just take Zion.
Apparently, they don't like talented young players on the Knicks.
So. No, hate it. They're like, give me Dennis Smith and Frank Ntilikina all day. Next up.
Yeah, well, a team that does like talented young players, the 76ers have traded away all of their second tier and bench players and now only have 4 players on the roster. 4.5 if you count JJ Redick.
Hey, you're forgetting about Boban.
I wasn't forgetting about him. But so the 76ers made this trade with the Clippers. How do you feel about it? They got Tobias Harris. They've got a big 4 in quotes, heavily in quotes.
Quotes, yeah. Today it looked great. I mean, they whooped up on the Lakers, even with Kyle Kuzma just playing out of his mind today. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and I've heard a lot of chatter about this, and from people covering the NBA, that this is going to be kind of their thing. Like once you get to the NBA playoffs, your rotation is going to shrink anyway. So if you just have the most talent in those first 5, 6, 7 guys, that's all you need to get through the playoffs. So I do think the 76ers, this vaults them up there to where before against like the Bucks and the Raptors, and I guess I could throw the Celtics in there too, even though they've been up and down this season.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the talent. I didn't feel comfortable putting them on that level, and now I guess I could bump them up to that level.
I mean, they still don't have like great spacing. They still don't have like a great ball handler. Like I know Ben Simmons is their point guard, but he is still like a large man playing point guard.
Yeah.
I don't know. In some ways, they have a lot of good matchups to take advantage of now, but in other ways, like when they face like a Kyrie or even a Kyle Lowry, they're probably going to struggle against that.
Yeah, that's the thing, because who guards the point guard now? You've got some great defenders. Jimmy Butler, like Ben Simmons is a good defender. Joel Embiid's a good defender, but like, and Tobias is like a pretty average defender. But like, who's going to guard the point guard? And so far, it's been Jimmy Butler that's been guarding the point guard. TJ McConnell coming off the bench and doing that. Like, if they had just been able to get like Patrick Beverley back in that deal instead of like Mike Scott or Boban, like then I'm like, all right, well, this makes a lot of sense. Like Patrick Beverley can D up any point guard in the league. Like that's a good team. So it'll be interesting to see how they take care of those matchups. But again, how our team's going to take care of them, because Embiid is it's just really difficult to stop. Tobias is a really good player. I think he's still underrated, even after this deal. Then I guess you got Jimmy, good player. I guess he's not an all-star. And then Ben Simmons, actually took a 3-pointer today. He missed it, but he took it. So
Yeah, this is interesting. They've really gone all in because Tobias and Jimmy, both free agents, they could
Yep.
both theoretically leave in the offseason. And the East is really interesting because you have four really good teams, right?
yeah,
Celtics,
their
Bucks.
4 teams are better than the top 4 teams in the West easily.
Yeah, but what's interesting is two of them have to lose before the championship round.
That's true.
And whatever two lose is gonna, I feel like, gonna cause a lot of drama, especially if it's the Sixers or the Celtics.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, which one would you be the most scared of facing in that Eastern Conference semis?
It's a tough question. I think the Bucks, just because they have the best player in the
Yeah.
East.
I'd be the most scared of the 76ers right now, just because of now they have this, quote, big four, and you don't know, like, maybe they just get really hot in the playoffs and, like, go to town.
Yep.
Not to Carl Anthony Towns, but just go to town, per se. So yeah, and we'll see if they say the plan right now is to bring both those guys back, and I think they kind of saved themselves a little bit because if they lost Jimmy Butler, then they didn't really have anything. They kind of have to start over, but now you have Tobias Harris, so you can get one of those guys back at least, if not both.
Yeah.
Next up, we are done with football season,
But
and it ended just so terribly. So we won't even talk about how the real football season started. Ended, but we had the beginning of something so brand new, the AAF.
Yup.
The Alliance of American Football. That's right? I think that's right.
It stands for something. No one
I think
even
that's
knows.
I think that's the acronym. Yep, the Alliance of American Football. I was right. So they in their first Sunday night, or I guess it was Saturday. They had a better rating than James Harden versus Russell Westbrook on ABC. Are you surprised?
I'm a little surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised they beat the NBA because the NBA doesn't get that great of ratings during the regular season because there's just so many games. But I am surprised.
These are the guys that couldn't be in the NFL.
I know. I am surprised that many people wanted to watch football with like a bunch of no names and rejects playing.
Trent Richardson had 2 touchdowns. I think it'll be interesting because the article that I was reading on Yahoo that was talked about the ratings and stuff said it's going to be really interesting when they move to the CBS Sports Network and they aren't on prime time on CBS.
Yeah.
That's because if you're on one of those major networks, you're going to draw decent ratings at the very least.
Yeah.
Once you move off to one of these other channels, then you might have some issues getting the same kind of ratings. But I think there's plenty of intrigue with this league. I mean, you've got Steve Spurrier coaching. Michael Vick is an offensive coordinator for the Atlanta team.
Yep.
You've got some some guys that used to be in the NFL. Christian Hackenberg played terribly for the Memphis team, I believe. You have Trent Richardson, who doesn't like seeing a really slow running back try to work his way back into the NFL. So there's plenty of good stuff.
Yep, and it's so the Ebersol family is the main driver behind this. They started the XFL back in the day, which did not go well.
Really?
Yeah, did not go so well. But supposedly, 17 years ago when they did that, I guess it was who was it? Dick Ebersol, who's the dad of Charlie Ebersol, who's starting this new league. But Dick said back in the day that he watched like 1/4 of the XFL and knew it was gonna fail because everyone was just so bad at football. And so I think a big thing they wanted in this league is they wanted good coaching because they wanted this to like actually resemble a real game. And while I didn't watch the game, from what I've heard, the reaction is like pretty decent. Like these weren't like the replacements out there. They looked like they actually had a scheme and tried hard.
Yeah, I they definitely are like close to being replacement level players,
But not quite.
but not quite. Like, yeah, it looked a little bit better than what the XFL was or the AAFL or like whatever the other leagues have been. So I think this one's a lot better put together. And the big thing with the AAF was there are no owners of these teams. It's all owned by the league, and they handpicked each coach for each of these teams.
Yeah.
So I mean, they have a lot invested in this, and over time we'll see if that kind of changes up a little bit. But so far so good. It's always how it goes after that first night, because intrigue is at its highest that first night. After that, you got to put a good product out on the field.
Yeah, and some of the rule changes they have are interesting. So they basically they don't have any commercial timeouts, and they trim the play clock way down. So the average NFL game goes 180 minutes, and theirs is going 150. Which I think makes a lot of sense because NFL games are too long.
They are too long.
They have
they're too long. We're saying they're too long, and they have actual good players playing.
I know, right?
So you wanna make this as short as possible, so we don't realize how bad some of these players are.
Yeah. They have some stuff like there's no onside kicks. If you're losing by a lot, you get the ball from your own 28, and you get a 4th and 12. And that's how you determine if you get to keep the ball or not. Like, I don't know, some stuff that's kind of fun. They're experimenting.
It's funky. It should be funky. Like, if you're just going to go out there and put the exact same product on the field as the NFL, you're destined to fail.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Of course, they have a Katy Perry connection, which is really what interested me.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, Trevor Knight is beloved by Katy Perry.
Yeah, yes, he is.
TMZ has a whole video about it, which I've watched 12 times now. And that's the most drama and intrigue, I think, in the league right now. So they're off to a good start.
Yeah, if you get a little bit of celebrity love in that first week, you're doing great.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is it for the big three in the opening block. We're not a big four. I'm sorry, guys. We're just not as good as the 76ers. But we will be right back. NBA storylines, all about the trade deadline, and a little bit of All-Star Weekend breakdown. So we'll get to that coming up. Welcome back to the Flop Sports Podcast. We are now moving on to the NBA storylines because we just finished talking about the NBA, so we should keep on talking about the NBA. Trade deadline last week. A lot of people thought, this is going to be a pretty boring trade deadline. Boy, were they wrong. They had no idea Iman Shumpert was on the move. So we are here to break down Iman Shumpert and all the other moves out there.
Previously thought untradeable.
Previously thought, and he is now in Houston. But we'll start somewhere else first. Thon Maker wanted a trade from the Bucks, and he got his wish. He's now a Detroit Piston. So yeah, you went down a peg, Thon. And I also want to make a point. Like, they traded him to the Pistons because he wanted to get more playing time. And yes, he's on a much worse team now, but he's behind Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin. Yep. So I don't know.
And when he does get in, he's just gonna pass the ball back and forth with Blake Griffin until the shot clock runs out.
I don't know. That seems like something saved for just Reggie Jackson and Blake Griffin. Like, that's a special thing they have going on. So this trade is actually kind of weird because it started as a 2-team trade. It ended up kind of as a 3-team trade. So Thon Maker goes to the Pistons. Stanley Johnson goes to the Bucks. Rerouted to the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Pelicans send to the Bucks Nikola Mirotic. So, what do you think about the move of Nikola Mirotic going to the Bucks?
Well, I mean, that's a great move for the Bucks because he's essentially a 3-point specialist who can stretch the floor as a power forward. and you need that in the playoffs, and he's
Yeah.
played in big games. So I don't see any downside to it for them.
None. I mean, he's a big guy that can stretch the court. That's great. And, he's also been this year, he's been able to, drive to the hoop so he can also create his own shot. No downside here at all. Like, you basically give up Thon Maker, a guy who has a lot of promise, but, had not been playing a lot. And
Yep.
you get back Nikola Mirotic, who now replaces probably Ersan Ilyasova. Like, Mirotic is like what's the word I'm looking for? He's like the ideal version of Ersan Ilyasova. Like, he's a rich man. There we go. He's a rich man's Ersan Ilyasova. So
yeah,
like,
he's
great.
He's your Ryan Anderson type,
He's better than Ryan Anderson because he's actually somewhat athletic.
Because he's still playing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, another move. Kings, they traded for Harrison Barnes, so the Mavericks were not done with their wheeling and dealing, and they get Harrison Barnes. They give him up, go to the Kings. Kings making a play here. They want to get into the playoffs this year. Is Harrison Barnes enough to make that happen?
Oh, man. I'm bringing up his contract right now. He makes $24 million this year, and then he makes $25 million next year.
Hey, he was the fourth best player on the Warriors. Don't forget that.
There was a big drop-off between 3 and
4. He would no longer be the fourth, fifth, maybe not sixth best player on the Warriors. No, he'd probably be sixth. So, I mean, do you think this helps them get into the playoffs? I mean, they're basically battling the Lakers right now for the playoff spot.
I mean, you're not going to beat LeBron out for a playoff spot, so probably not.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Danny, because I'm getting a little nervous, but I think it's they're calling their shot. Like, no free agent is going to pick to go to the Sacramento Kings, so why not just trade, try to get someone in there that can score for you. Marvin Bagley has been ridiculous lately. He had 32 points today. De'Aaron Fox has been great this season. Buddy Hield's been great. So they got a lot of good pieces. So maybe, if it doesn't work out this year, better luck next year, guys. The Houston Rockets making the biggest move of the deadline, Danny. None other than Gerald from Hey Arnold, Iman Shumpert, getting his trade there. I don't actually even know what his hair looks like. Ever since he got traded from the Cavaliers, I completely forgot what his hair looked like.
Yeah, I forgot what he looked like after he got traded from New York. So
yeah, when we saw him,
he did not play with the Cavs. He was there in spirit only.
He has just a regular haircut now, so that's really disappointing.
Wow, I'm shook. I'm sad.
But maybe that's just because he was on an irrelevant team, the Sacramento Kings. Until maybe this year, but he was on.
This was a money move,
team.
right, for the Rockets. This was to try and get them closer to under the luxury cap.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did, because they also were able to shave off James Ennis. And a couple other moves, and that's what they did.
Yeah. So I mean, this had nothing to do with Iman Shumpert and everything.
Oh, it had everything to do with Iman Shumpert. Let's not mince words here. Iman Shumpert is
the
what
best
it's all about.
On-ball defender in the league.
But I mean, he could help out the Rockets, don't you think?
No.
No,
Not even he came into the league and was playing because he was a great defender, and everyone thought the offense would come later, and then the offense never came. What's he going to do on a team that only shoots threes?
He could shoot a little bit. There were times when he was with Cleveland that he could actually hit a couple threes every once in a while, and he got hot, and we're like, oh man, bench J.R. Smith and put him on Shumpert in. But basically the Rockets are we just got to try and get different guys in here, because the guys we have right now aren't working. Someone else has got to shoot on this team besides James Harden.
Yeah.
Another big move, possibly bigger than Iman Shumpert, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Bulls traded to get Otto Porter, who was previously said was untradeable and was not going to be traded this season from the Wizards, because they were all in on making the playoffs.
They were.
They were. Talk about them more later. And Jabari Parker went to the Wizards. They actually played each other, and Jabari Parker had at least one bucket that I saw on Twitter against the Bulls. So maybe they won the deal. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. But what do you think about this from the Bulls' perspective? You get Otto Porter. That contract is not ideal, but again, Chicago at this point aren't going to be big players in free agency, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess. How old is Otto Porter now? 25.
25,
so,
yeah. He's not too old.
And, is he overpaid? Yeah.
No, that's not a question. Everyone knows that.
It's like one overpaid player for another overpaid player. They were like, we don't like our overpaid player anymore. Do you want him? And they were like, sure. You want ours? And they were like, sure. But I'd rather have Otto Porter Jr. than Jabari Parker because at least one of them has 2 ACLs.
And can shoot a 3, yeah. I'm trying to find the box score from that game just because I'm curious to see, what both those guys actually did. Jabari Parker played 35 minutes and had 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. I think we know who won the deal. They also won the game. Otto Porter, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Yeah, I think it's clear. Jabari Parker was the real diamond in the rough in that trade.
I'm glad we've determined that after one game.
I think we needed to take the time to do that.
Absolutely.
Moving on to probably what was probably these two were actually some of the bigger deals on deadline day. Not that Mirotic wasn't. Mirotic was a big deal. The rest of them we were just absolutely kidding about because they were not good. Raptors getting Marc Gasol. So basically they turned Jonas Valanciunas into Marc Gasol.
Yep.
Is that better?
That's a great trade, I think.
I think it is.
I don't see any downs. They got a veteran, a great defender, a guy who earlier this year was shooting threes at 40% clip. He's good. It'll be interesting. I think right now he's coming off the bench, at least in the first game behind Serge Ibaka. But if Marc Gasol is coming off the bench for you, that's not bad.
What? That's what Jonas Valanciunas was doing too. Because the Raptors do this weird thing in the NBA where they match their lineup against the competition they're playing against.
Crazy.
It's bizarre. I've never seen anything like it. They don't just go with the same de facto 5 starters no matter who they're playing. But yeah, think about this. If they do face Philadelphia in the playoffs, you now go from Jonas Valanciunas guarding Joel Embiid to Marc Gasol guarding Joel Embiid. And while, Valanciunas did pretty well against Embiid in the past, I'd much rather have Gasol on him.
Yep.
Yeah, so and another thing is if you run Gasol out there with maybe your bench unit, that's a guy that can be a focal point for your bench unit as far as a scorer and facilitator now. Yeah,
you can pass too. You can to a certain extent run the offense through him on the second unit as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's a great deal. I'm not happy about it because it just means the Bucks are going to have that much harder time. But everyone in the East got better except the Celtics at the deadline. So
we get better every week that Gordon Hayward is playing.
That's true. Y'all get additions that are already on the team. Last big trade that we got to talk about. It might not have the biggest impact, or it could have a huge impact. Who knows? We just don't know with Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz going to the Orlando Magic, traded for Jonathan Simmons, a first-round pick, but not the Magic's first-round pick. A lot of people at first thought it was the Magic's first-round pick. This is actually the Thunder's first-round pick, so it's worthless. And I think a second-round pick. So what do you make of the deal? Do you think this is a good chance for Markelle to get his act together, maybe?
I highly doubt that he plays this year.
Yeah, everyone's saying this year he's not playing, so he'll be back next year.
But yeah, clearly it wasn't working in Philly. I think it is important for him to get out of there. I'm not sure Orlando was the right team. Like, I feel like the right team would have been somewhere with like a strong infrastructure, like, a San Antonio or even a Dallas.
Look, we can't send everyone to San Antonio. And do
I
you
know,
really want
but
him to get into like yelling matches with Rick Carlisle because Carlisle hates his point guards?
or even a Brooklyn. I don't know. Orlando's an interesting place for him, but I mean, I guess it's like he's kind of he is a like low risk, high reward player
Oh,
because
yeah.
you traded Jonathan Simmons, who's a backup point guard, and you got Fultz, who's either going to be out of the league in 2 years, or he could potentially, be what everyone thought he was going to be.
I mean, like, until, like, his arms are chopped off or something, I still believe he has the potential to be that guy that we saw coming out of college. Like, this is only a year and a half after that. And, like, a lot of the other stuff is still there. A lot of his, like, dribbling and driving ability, some of the passing, like, that stuff is still there. It just wasn't needed on a team that had no shooters, like,
Yep.
with Philadelphia.
Yep.
So now going to a team with the Magic. I mean, I'm not saying the Magic have a ton of shooters, but like they're not trying to win right now. But it's a good young core there with Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Mo Bamba, who's out for the season now. So maybe they'll link up and rehab together. And Nikola Vucevic, who is a free agent this summer. I don't think they should bring him back, but we'll see. And so I think this, a young, interesting team there in Orlando. And the biggest thing about Orlando is it's out of the spotlight. Like,
That's
he gets
true.
out of Philadelphia, away from the 76ers, away from Jimmy Butler, and away from all the other stuff there. And he just gets to go out there and play basketball now when he comes back next year. Of course, there's still going to be a little bit of interest. He was a first-round pick. But at the least, he can go to Disney World.
Without winning a championship, even.
Yeah, you don't even have to win a championship. Like, Disney is your like jersey sponsor, so you can go to Disney World, Markel. Congratulations. All right, the next thing I want to do is looking at some of the big players at the trade deadline, whether they got players, whether they did anything or not. But looking at some of the teams that were brought up a lot at the trade deadline and see what's next for these NBA trade deadline big players, kind of making a prediction as they head into the summer, what direction they're heading in, some players they might be looking at. We'll start off with everyone's favorite Knickerbockers, the New York Knicks.
I mean, I think the Knicks do nothing this summer.
Nothing.
I mean, I don't think they're going to get any big free agents, so if anything, they
Whoa.
overpay for some role players again.
Hot take right off the bat from Danny Spiller in Fuego. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I don't agree. I do think they might get Kevin Durant. I think they're going to make a big push to get Anthony Davis. I don't know who else they would get. That kind of all gets figured out after you get like the big fish like Kevin Durant or Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I just something deep down inside of me really believes this is the time for New York. Like, they're going to get something this time.
I've heard that before.
All right. The next team is someone that the New York Knicks just dealt a great player away to in the Dallas Mavericks. Kind of looking at them, they will have some space this offseason now that they got out of a couple contracts. But really, it looks like it's going to be more of a long-term view with the Dallas Mavericks. What do you kind of think they do this summer and going forward?
This summer, I mean, I think they look to just add probably a point guard or a shooting guard. But nothing too crazy, but I do think they're a sneaky good destination, especially maybe after people see a year of Luka and KP. If they look really good next year, they could be in play for, probably not, the Kevin Durant types, but a step below, like, definitely.
I don't know. Some people are saying, like, they should just make the all-Euro team and wait for 2021 with Giannis.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, Giannis, Kristaps, and Luka, like, that'd be a really fun team to watch. But Yeah, I think they're gonna try and just like kind of build around these two guys for next year. I think they will try to be a playoff contender next year. Obviously, that's not going to happen this year, but I think that's kind of what they're building towards next year is trying to get into the playoffs, continue to get some experience for these two together. Really trying to see like if they can get Kristaps to sign that long term deal. I think that's kind of what they're working for towards the summer is trying to make sure Kristaps is there long term.
Yep.
Next up, let's go to the city, your city. Talk about these two teams. We'll actually talk about the Clippers first.
Okay.
What do you think happens for them this summer?
I think they get Kawhi Leonard.
You think they get Kawhi?
Yep.
Why?
I don't think he's staying in Toronto.
No, I don't either. I don't either. Do you think it's like Kawhi is like completely shut the book on LeBron and the Lakers?
I don't think he's gonna play with LeBron. Yeah. I don't see that.
It was the biggest deal, and it was kind of like LeBron just was like, I really want you to play with me, man. And then it's like that meme where Anthony Davis walks by, and he's like, oh, hello. And we completely forgot about Kawhi. Yeah, I think the Clippers are definitely going to be contenders to get him. They've got a lot of cap space, though, so I feel like they're going to try and get someone else.
Yeah, I mean, that could be they could go for a Durant. They could go for.
I don't think Durant.
They could go for a Butler for sure.
Yeah. Do you want to see? Here's my thing. Butler is not going to be on an NBA championship team.
Probably not. But did you know that he works harder than any other player in the NBA?
He has made that blatantly obvious to everyone, whether it's true or not. But yeah, he's just not going to be an NBA championship player. There's too much drama with him. So I think the Clippers and Jerry West will want to stay away from Butler, and they already know that. Like Jerry West is a smart man.
Yeah.
He's done this before. All right, to that other team in LA. Do they get anything, Danny? I know you said the Knicks won't, but come on, the Lakers got to get something.
All right, so not to jump ahead, I think AD will probably get traded to the Celtics. So if that happens, that means he's not going to the Lakers. So what are the Lakers' options? Like Durant's not going there.
Yeah.
I don't think Kawhi's going there. If AD doesn't go there, what's left for them?
So a lot of people have talked about possibly now reverting some of those assets and going after a guy like Bradley Beal.
Well, I mean, that'd be, if they can get Beal, that would be incredible.
Going after a guy,
trade.
And then you would still have cap space, and so maybe you could go after like a Chris Middleton. I'd hate that because I want him to stay with the Bucks, and he has already said that he wants to stay with the Bucks, for the rest of his career. But things change. We all know that. Kyrie Irving's going to leave the Celtics, so we all know this. So, I mean, there's some other options out there. And Bradley Beal is certainly not a bad fallback plan. He's a good player and would play really well next to LeBron. I just don't know if it's, exactly what they want. I still hold out hope that they get Anthony Davis. And if they get Anthony Davis, I think they get Kyrie Irving too.
Bold claim.
Well, we'll see. It's all contingent on where Anthony Davis goes. So speaking of where does Anthony Davis go, the Boston Celtics. They are rumored to have this magical treasure trove of assets and players and future NBA All-Stars and stuff that they can trade away for Anthony Davis. Do they get a move done for AD?
I think they do. I think they probably give up something like Tatum, Horford, and Rozier. I guess not Rozier, like Smart, something like that. And then they give up like the Sacramento pick, the Memphis pick, the Clippers pick, and one of their own, something like that. I think that's a better offer than what the Lakers have. And then they have Kyrie, AD, and whatever's left.
I mean, is it a better offer?
It's a better offer if you get Tatum, because Tatum is probably like he's more of a sure thing than anyone on the Lakers.
No, for sure, I agree with that. But my thing is the rest of that deal. Like, do I want Al Horford? Do I want Marcus Smart?
You want Marcus Smart.
Do I like what kind of
Yes.
team am I trying to build in New Orleans if I'm trading away Anthony Davis? Am I like, do I want to be a team that's going to be like an 8 seed every year and get beat by the Warriors, or do I want to like completely rebuild and try to start this thing from scratch? If I want to
I
start this
mean,
thing from scratch, I want Jaylen Brown instead.
well, if you got Brown and Tatum and you keep Drew Holiday, that's not a bad team already.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the real deal. I think that trumps the Lakers is if they put Smart. I mean, if they put Brown and Tatum in there,
Yeah, for sure.
because like why do Celtics fans and other people in the NBA think that, well, the Lakers, they got to trade every single young player that's not nailed to the floor to get AD, but the Celtics only have to trade one.
It's because Tatum looks like he's a sure thing to be an all-star, and
Sure.
Ingram does not.
Sure.
No one on the Lakers does. That's why.
He's a sure, yeah. I mean, no, nothing's a sure thing.
But
We
he's
thought Markelle Fultz was a sure thing, Danny. We learned a lot this year.
but he's like as close as New Orleans would get.
Yeah, no, okay, I agree.
So that's
with that.
why.
I definitely think they're going to make a strong move for it, and I think everyone in the NBA is going to tell them to trade them to the Celtics because they hate Los Angeles. It's a big conspiracy theory.
What will make it tough is if the Celtics don't do that well this year, it makes it easier to trade Tatum or Brown. But if they do like make the finals and Tatum is like shining in the playoffs, then it's gonna be hard to trade him.
Yeah, but I mean, like, has Tatum really shined this year?
He's been fine. I think he's like 14, 7, and 3, something like that.
He's been fine. That's what I want to hear out of a future NBA All-Star. That's all I'm saying.
Well, there's a lot of good players on the team. That's the
Okay,
problem.
all right.
Too many guys.
We're going on to a team that doesn't have any good players on the team, except for probably one. Bradley Beal, the Washington Wizards. Do you think the Wizards, finally call it and trade Bradley Beal? Also fire their general manager, who's been there forever, and just restart this thing.
First of all, R.I.P. John Wall, rest in peace. Second of all, I mean, Bradley Beal's not old. I think he's 25,
25,
26. Yeah. So I'm keeping him and I'm building around him. He's a guy you can build around. I'm not trading him if I'm Washington.
But the thing is, like, if you're Washington, how else are you going to get assets to build for the future?
You're going to be bad, so you do it through the draft. Like a real team.
With one pick per year?
Yeah,
that's going to take a long time, and you're going to end up like Sam Hinkie, like death threats and stuff.
You start trading anything you can for picks in the off season, and
they don't have anything left.
I know that's their biggest problem.
They have one thing left, and that is Bradley Beal.
Yep.
Like, no one really wants to trade for John Wall, but moving on, we'll go to our All-Star Weekend preview. I know you got some articles you want to talk about, and we'll talk about those a little bit later on. But All-Star Weekend preview. So winners, All-Star Draft. I think we have varying opinions on this one. Who won that All-Star Draft?
Well, Tampering won that draft.
Oh my gosh.
No, I mean, I think we both agree LeBron James crushed that draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think they'll win the All-Star game?
No. And here's why. Because LeBron traded Russell Westbrook, the guy with the biggest chip on his shoulder, gave him another chip. That dude's going to go out and play like
Did you watch the trade, though? Did you watch the trade to see the reason behind the trade?
Oh, it's because Giannis wanted Westbrook, right?
Kind of. But both of them really wanted Russell Westbrook and Joel Embiid to be on the same team. Because how great is that? Like, Russell Westbrook, guy gets a beef with every NBA player there is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how. So, like, every All-Star game, it seems like everyone talking about, like, this different beef that Russell has with someone else, like Kevin Durant or and now it's Joel Embiid, and now they get to play on the same team. So this could be pretty entertaining. I do think LeBron James wins it, and That'll be revealed with my All-Star Game MVP pick later on. But before that, we have a bunch of pointless competitions to get through. We'll start off with the 3-point competition. Both Curry brothers are in it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Some other guys. Who's your pick?
My pick is Dirk.
Oh, man. Bad pick.
One more for old time's sake.
Bad pick. I'm going with the local connection, for me at least, Joe Harris. Played his college basketball here at UVA. Dude is money from 3. I think he's like, look, I'm not going to get any other recognition any other way, so I got to come in this 3-point competition and just destroy it, and I think he will. Dunk contest, I really don't care about the dunk contest. I think it is the most overrated thing ever. Because,
well, it is now because nobody good does it.
Exactly. I can't stand it. But who's your pick out of this really disappointing crop of guys?
Dennis Smith Jr., because every night I look at the box score and he went like 5 for 21, but he just has one amazing dunk every night.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. And he's got that New York jersey to wear now. Like, that carries a little cachet with it. I'm going Miles Bridges because I don't care, and because Miles Bridges can jump out of the gym for all I'm concerned. Skills competition might actually have the most interesting field of the night, but I am going Luka because
a classic pick. I think that's probably the safe pick.
I think that's gonna be he's gonna be the favorite going into this. I just feel like it's kind of built for him. There's some other guys I thought about, but who's your pick?
I picked Aaron Fox.
Nice. He's got the speed to do it, but is he going to be able to make that 3-point shot? I don't know.
You can get lucky once in a while.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, now the big award, Celebrity Game MVP. You've got some great people this year. Give your pick while I bring up the roster right here, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, my pick is Dr. Oz. I can't believe he's on this team, but the dude's, you got to be the healthiest guy on the court, so he's going to absolutely dominate.
Well, before I give my pick, here are some of the people in this. On the home team, you've got Chris Daughtry. Okay. Terrence J. I don't know. Famous Loss. I don't know. Dr. Oz, like you said. Rhapsody. Bo Reinhardt from Need to Breathe. JB Smoove. Very funny guy. Steve Smith. There's a guy. Former NFL great. Asia Wilson played at her college basketball at South Carolina and was WNBA Rookie of the Year. Jay Williams. So that's kind of your hometown team.
And Ray Allen, of course.
A lot of those, that's just the home team. We'll get to the away team.
Got you.
Those are guys that have like local ties to the Charlotte area.
Yeah.
The away team, Ronnie 2K, who's a big guy on like the 2K Sports area. Ray Allen, buckets. AJ Buckley, another WNBA player. Quavo, who is defending Celebrity Game MVP. Adam Ray, never heard of, and some other people. So, yeah, that's what we're working with here. My MVP is either JB Smoove, because the guy's hilarious, and I feel like he's going to be mic'd up or something and just be hilarious the whole game. And it's usually the guy who's the funniest that wins the MVP award.
True.
If the other team wins, though, I think it's going to be Quavo again. He's just got too much popularity. All right.
Good
now,
call.
All-Star Game MVP. And we're going with actually the past 2 league MVPs.
That's true. I'm going with Russell Westbrook.
He loves All-Star Games, man.
I do.
He just loves All-Star Games. If there's anyone that could like be a default pick before any rosters or anything to win an All-Star game, it would be Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
But I'm going James Harden just because I think he's gonna want to continue his hot shooting streak into the All-Star game, and he'll do it that way. But that is all the time we got for now. Actually, you want to mention another All-Star topic.
I do. I'm gonna start a petition on change.org for Andrew Wiggins to get on the team because the dude deserves it. Not everyone can play the way he does.
Maybe we can have like the what is it? AAF version of like the All-Star game and just have like the league's worst players play. Like, who is the worst of the worst?
That could be that.
I think, stuff starts on like Friday night. Like, that's like the celebrity game and the Rising Stars challenge. And
like players you'd least want to be on your favorite team.
They play on either Thursday night or Monday night, like the night after the actual All-Star game, or maybe they play like Sunday, like at noon, like when no one's watching.
I think they should play the first night that the games start again after the All-Star weekend.
Yes. I think all their NBA teams would agree with that.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, take them out of here for at least one. But all right, that is it for the NBA talk. We will be right back to wrap up this show. Tim Tebow, Elon, and our Rex of the Week coming up.
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around. We're into the last segment of our show, sponsored by Angry Orchard Hard Cider Crisp Apple. Good.
Good stuff.
It sounds eerily similar to our Brita commercial, but it's totally different.
Totally different and totally real.
All right, so first up, Tim Tebow was on the Pat McAfee show. I'm going to tell you right now, I did not watch that because it was a half hour long, and I didn't care that much.
But a summary.
What's that?
But you have a summary.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know he was on there.
Okay,
so you can check it out. I'll post a link.
Pat McAfee actually got engaged.
Wow.
Recently, so there
you go. A lucky lady.
Maybe it's like the Tim Tebow bump. Like sometimes like people go on shows and like they get a bump from being on that show. Well, maybe like Tim Tebow went on Pat McAfee's show and he decided to settle down. Like that's what Tim Tebow. Like seeing Tim Tebow makes you be like, oh dang, I really need to get married.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Pat, who's a frequent spot on this show.
Yes.
Almost as much as Tim, but not quite as much. Elon, how'd they do this week?
Unfortunately, Elon gave up 57 points in the first half to Hofstra. So not so good. We lost by like over 40 points.
Hofstra actually has one of the top scorers in the country, so that's not terrible.
Really?
Yeah, Justin Wright Foreman?
Oh, yep.
Is that right? Yeah, how many did he have?
He only had 16, but I think they probably sat him.
He stopped playing. Yeah. Who do you want to highlight this week?
This week we're gonna highlight a guy with the last name of Wooten, first name Chris.
Okay.
Leading scorer, 18 points, 4 assists.
Wow.
Good job, man.
Good job, Chris. All right, going to our Rex of the Week. You have something here relating back to the NBA.
Yeah, let's talk about this for a hot sec. I know normally we just recommend it, but this was the NBA franchise values. I actually thought it was pretty interesting to see what teams were tops, and so they break it down by valuation. No surprise on the team valuations. They do this revenue per fan thing, which was actually pretty interesting. The top team is the Utah Jazz, and then I think it's Oklahoma City Thunder. So that was pretty interesting to me, I thought.
Small market teams, yeah.
Then
Jazz and Thunder have great fan bases, so.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. And then they also did what they do. They did like the teams that gained the most value in the last 5 years, which was actually pretty interesting. It was the Warriors, the Clippers, the 76ers, the Bucks, and
are coming up with the money.
And the Raptors. So basically the key is to like be in a big city or get a top 5 NBA player.
Is it that easy?
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
All right. Instagram update. First up, Bill Walton.
The legend.
Ate a lit candle on live TV. And this is literally like the two guys are eating cupcakes. Was it Bill Walton's birthday? Was that the deal?
I guess so, yeah.
I don't even know. And the other co-host is like jokingly like, you should eat that lit candle, and Bill Walton just dives right in. It's so funny. That's my Instagram update.
Oh, great. I'm actually trying to see if it was his birthday. Yeah, it looks like it was his birthday, I think. Nope. It says he's born November 5th. So who knows what that was for? But he ate a lit candle, so go check it out, everybody. Just like this, you need to check this out. Ben Simmons shot a 3-pointer. I referenced it earlier. He missed it, of course. And Joel was a little surprised by it. So he said had some colorful language because he did not expect it. They asked, like, it was JJ Redick and Joel Embiid, and they asked them both the question, and JJ was like, "No, I'm not surprised. I think he's going to hit those shots sometimes, and like he's just, like the perfect player answer." And then Joel was like, "Really? I was really surprised," or something like that. So great stuff there. Also at the game, Kendall Jenner was there, and there's this great picture that someone somehow grabbed of her just like staring down LeBron. Sensually, yes.
Yeah.
And that made Ben Simmons want to go shoot a 3, so he'd look better for his girl. Speaking of LeBron, sticking with them, LeBron James and Rajon Rondo, if you haven't heard, were at the UVA game last night, and this actually comes from the Virginia Cavaliers official athletics Twitter account. They sent out a picture of LeBron like waving his hand, saying hi to the crowd, and like they just said LeBron. Like they didn't say Rondo or anything.
He looks so sad too.
And he's just like, but I play basketball too. I made the game-winning shot against the Celtics. Sorry,
so
bud.
Good.
Sorry, bud. All right, that's it for us. Weekly sign-off.
All right, I think we are gonna do an act out of last play of the game of the All-Star game.
Ooh. Okay.
Which team do you want?
Is it like a tight game?
Yeah, it's down by 2.
Okay.
And Team Giannis has the ball.
All right, perfect. Love it.
All right. I'm starting the timer. I'll start us off. All right. Team Giannis has the ball, down by 2. Dribbling up the court is point forward Blake Griffin.
Also on the court with him, Giannis, Russell Westbrook, Joel Embiid, and D'Angelo Russell, because why not? Because why not? All right.
Okay. Blake Griffin passes the ball to D'Angelo Russell, who up fakes LeBron and starts driving into the paint full force. He goes up for the dunk to tie the game, and
Russell Westbrook, out of nowhere, jumps over LeBron, grabs the ball from D'Angelo Russell and pulls it back down. There is still only 4 seconds remaining. Joel Embiid, seeing this, goes up to Russell, and they are in a tangle for the ball now.
Joel Embiid picks Russell Westbrook up, throws him into the stands, passes the ball out to Blake Griffin in the corner for a 3 to win the game.
Brick.
The end. That was good.
Oh, man. Just all you wanted right there. All right. Well, that is all the time we have this week for episode 16 of the Flop Sports podcast. We will be back next week, of course. Actually, I mean, maybe we just do this right after the All-Star game. What do you say, Danny?
Good call. I like it.
Good call. All right. We'll be back next week. We'll see you then.